Hello and welcome to another edition of Live at ITC, coming to you live from ITC in Vegas. And we're here on the set of Live at ITC, proudly sponsored by Tint. I'm joined here today, this morning, by Venkat Sathyamurthy, who is the CEO of Tractable. And we're going to have an awesome conversation about, guess what? About AI, right?
Fantastic.
Everybody's talking about AI. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago where you shared some different perspectives with me that really kind of changed the dynamic in terms of my understanding.
Of course.
Before we get into that, though, let's ground the audience. What does Tractable do? What's the offering that you bring to the market?
So Tractable, first off, great to be here with you. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me here. Tractable is an applied AI company. We primarily use AI, specifically computer vision, to transform the automotive ecosystem there. And our primary areas of focus is how do you reinvent the claims process?
Okay.
Right. That's really where it is. There's a lot of applicability. We'll talk about it over a period in time, but our primary focus is insurance world. How do you use AI, especially computer vision, to transform the claims processing there? Right. It's such an important piece in the journey when you get in an accident. There's a lot of emotions involved.
Sure.
Time is of the essence. You want to get it done right. And we really do want to play a role in getting your life back to normal there. And that's really where our focus is.
Awesome. Love that. So when we talk about computer vision, particularly in the claims process, talk to me a little bit about some of the concerns that a carrier will have handing over that responsibility to AI, and how do you guys address that?
Yeah, it's like let's take the technology out of it for a second, right? So computer vision is great, but that's just a means to an end.
Okay.
It was mobile a while ago. It was all about cloud, and then it is AI. It could be who knows what it is next, but the important aspect, what we are looking to do here is this is a very highly regulated industry.
Okay.
And it's anchored on trust.
Yep.
Okay. So one of the things we want to do with AI is essentially make sure that the AI, can replace, a lot of the concerns or, respond to a lot of the concerns our carriers have when it tries to make the decisions, right? Humans, when they make the decisions, there's a logic and reasoning behind it. Mm-hmm. But when an AI makes a decision, it has to have the same level of trust and logic behind it there. And, if an adjuster is using us to help his or her job make it better, they want to make sure that, they can trust the decisions coming out of it.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things we can talk about how we are getting there, but trust is by far the most important thing we anchor on right now. How do you, build in trust into our capability and offering that allows them? The tech is not the interesting part.
Yeah.
It's about the trust the tech builds. It's the most important piece before we can start, making any impact here.
I love that. Double clicking on this trust dynamic, and I can actually totally relate to this as simply a ChatGPT user.
Sure.
I put something into ChatGPT, and this literally happened to me last week, and it gave me a response I did not like. And I said, how did you get to this response?
Exactly.
And I literally asked it, and then it says, oh, I'm sorry, starts apologizing. No, I said, don't apologize. I want to know how you got to this decision. Needless to say, that conversation went nowhere. But how do you get this trust given these models?
So let's talk through this, right? So we have been at the vantage point at 10 plus years in this field of work. We started the journey as computer vision took off, and we saw that, impact of it in the, auto world as well there.
Yeah.
One of the things that stops, really large scale impact and, the influence an AI can have in the world of insurance, especially the auto claims processing, is the nature of the AI solutions out there. What do I mean by that? Today, if you look at the AI solutions out there, let's take your example.
Yeah.
I call them all black box AI.
Yes.
So what do you mean by that is essentially it starts with the way that's built. How are these AI built? This is really not, rocket science, right? Let's say you want to build something to process claims. What do? You give it a whole bunch of past historical claims, which is what your ChatGPT did too.
Sure.
Then what that AI does is it learns a whole bunch of predictions on top of it. And now when you drop something in new, what it does, it looks at the learning it has, and it tries to make a prediction based on what you provided it.
Right.
Two big flaws in it. Okay. Which is what you ran into. Flaw number one, you have no control over what it is learning from.
That's right.
So it could learn the right things, but in the claims, it could learn that, if you overpopulate your data with red cars, it could say associate red cars with accidents. Or it could take other social cues and the other bias in it. That's where hallucination comes in. Okay. So that's a fear, right? So you don't know what it's learning from. That's a scary thing. The second big piece is, the part you asked, like, how did you come to this decision? And it can answer that. These two things humans do so much better.
Sure.
AI can do. So what we have right now, and how do we overcome it, is we want to move away from a black box approach to what we call a glass box.
Okay.
So glass box is like everything is transparent, right? If you had a similar conversation with our AI in the auto world, it will tell you, I made this repair decision because I saw this picture, I saw this damage, it was this length, this size, this width. And based on this, make and model and all this stuff, I made this decision. It could be wrong, but at least it knows exactly how we came to it. And you can tell, no, you made it wrong here, and it'll go back and learn it. That's how you build trust. You need to be authentic, you need to be transparent. It doesn't mean you need to have all the answers,
right?
But you need to absolutely be able to rationalize why you provided that answer. So that's really what we are anchoring on. That approach from a black box to a glass box is really what we are going to, use moving forward to build trust and, adoption of our technology.
Got it. Love that. Yeah, that whole glass component, that glass box, that explainability is huge, And I guess what that does for me is it opens up the world of possibilities in terms of where this technology can be leveraged. So we started talking about computer vision, specifically in claims management. What other parts of the value chain do you think we could leverage a platform like this?
This is the part I get excited about a lot, right? So like the tech is, very horizontal in nature, right? What's our core capability here is you give us a picture of an automobile with a low friction model, we can learn a lot about the automobile in a very, very quick manner there, right? You just drop a picture in, we can do it. So where can we use it? Let's say I have a picture of an automobile, I can write a full condition assessment of the car. Let's look at, piece by piece where we can apply it. One is obviously in the claims process. After a collision, I need to ask questions around what it takes me to, fix the car and get it back on the road. That's where we are. That's our bread and butter. Then we're also working in the recycling space, right? A lot of cars, 12 million cars, goes through end of life in this country.
Yeah.
So what happens to those cars? They all get to recycling and they are sold for parts, local and international. They're all buying it unseen from auction houses online.
Yeah.
You're paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for the car. And, don't you want some confidence that you're buying the right one?
Sure.
So our AI can look at those cars and then help you make the right buying decision there. So that's the second possibility there. The third one is body shops, right? When you get in a car or even consumers, you can get a quick damage assessment very quickly for the body shop world. We're also exploring conversations with OEMs when the cars get shipped or there's good quality before they sell or not. Fleets. So the possibilities are endless where we can apply this tech.
That makes tons of sense. You talked about a lot of different parts of the value chain here, Venkat, and I'm hearing this need for collaboration.
Yeah.
AI as a team sport, I think, is a conversation that you and I had a couple of weeks ago. Talk a little bit more about how Tractable is playing in that space.
Just look around this floor.
Yeah, right.
Right. Look at all these players here. They are not going to work discretely by themselves here, right? If you look at an insurance company, they're going to have a big chunk of them in their tech stack to make it work.
Sure.
Because we all need to work together. This is, for example, just take the recycling example there.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who buy the cars, who remarket their videos. There are people who do auction sites in there. There are people who pick up all the cars. There are people who do licenses for brokerage for international buyers to buy. This is a big ecosystem there. We play a role in it, an important role, I believe. But we can't come and say we are the only players in it. We got to learn how to work, and the industry needs to learn to work, right? Our tech needs to work in all these places seamlessly, because at the end of the day, we are serving our customers. And I absolutely believe our AI, deployed into a variety of the workloads where those guys are the specialists, we need to be able to do that more often there. Because if you don't do it, it's a great piece of tech. So what? Tech is useless unless it's actually useful.
Yep.
So the way to get it useful is the ecosystem to work together. So I absolutely believe when it comes to AI, it needs to be a team sport. We got to embed ourselves. We got to work together here.
Got it. Venkat, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. You talked about glass box explainability. I'm going to come by your booth.
Yeah.
I want to see a demo.
You can.
What am I going to see?
In fact, I'm doing a demo at 150 here. You can be on stage there.
All right.
So we are going to, there are two parts to our whole stack in there, right? So there's an assessment piece and there's an appraisal piece.
Okay.
So when you come to a booth, you can look at two of them there, right? So what you can do is, you can throw a picture of a car. What you see on the other side is, you'll see just the way a human adjuster does the car assessment.
Okay.
You'll see our AI doing it step by step.
Okay.
It will come and say, hey, I see good quality pictures. That's great. Then it's self-aware AI, right? It knows. Like, for example, when I was teaching my son math last week, he ran into a calculus problem. I know it was a calculus problem. I didn't know how to solve it.
Right.
Our AI does the same thing. It doesn't hallucinate, tries to solving the problem. It knows, it's self-aware. You see the self-awareness nature of it, right? You can see pictures of the car. It knows what it can work with. It knows what it cannot work with. And it will explicitly say, I can't work with those.
Yes.
So you can see those things in there. And then coming out of it on the other side, you press a button and you see a whole full estimate that's insurance ready coming out on the other side. All like this. So it's all live, demo, on stage, and on our booth. Do come by. I'd love to get your feedback there.
I love that. I'm thinking about this email that I want to send to Sam Altman about ChatGPT. I would so much prefer it to tell me I don't know than to make something up.
Actually, good point. I never had ChatGPT ever tell me it doesn't know anything.
Exactly.
It seems like
yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work in regulated industries, right? So this is where the trust comes in. I know I got to emphasize on this point. Like, look, policyholders, which are, all of us care about them. I'm a policyholder myself,
Sure.
right? For me, I'm hoping when I work with an insurer, I'm hoping they're working on my best interests,
Yeah.
right? And, when I start making stuff up, I don't lose the trust. So your point is so valid. I'd rather appreciate an AI telling me what it knows and what it doesn't know than make stuff up there.
Venkat, you talked about the biases that are inherent in the AI modeling. And one of the things that I think about often, particularly as we talk about regulation in AI, I think that's what the regulators tend to focus mostly on. What's your perspective and your thoughts on how to avoid those biases that we talk a little bit about?
I'll give you a good example of this, right? This is a fun one, right? Black box and the challenge, right? So, insurance companies are very thoughtful, very compliant, and very mindful. So they take their time to make sure we roll it. It's not the same in some other industries. So I'll give you an example. I don't know if you remember, Apple launched its card back in 2020 along with Goldman Sachs, right?
Yep.
Apple Card.
Yep.
Within a few months of its launch, there's this big controversy that popped up. You can check in the news there. Essentially, what it did was, women who are applying for a card, for some reason got a lower credit limit. Even everything else looked the same to a man.
Right.
But it's okay. It's a computer system. It's a flaw. It's okay there. But the most interesting part was when people asked Apple and Goldman Sachs, what exactly was the reason behind it?
I'll tell you.
I don't know, because it's a black box. Some magic happened. There was something it picked up on, not intentional. They went through and said we verified for bias and all that stuff, but they didn't know. That's a scary part. That's not a good answer.
Right.
That's not acceptable. Who knows what else is queuing on? This is not the way we should work there, right? So if it are told, this is a signal I took. That's why our glass box and what we do is important. And I'll give you a little bit more, simpler example in this case, where when we are doing our earlier models, right, we were showing it pictures of cars. So we were showing a lot of pictures of cars for training on the body shops, right? And when you go to the body shop, what do? They put a chalk mark or a sticker that says where they tag it for people to look at where the damage is, right? So they prepare the car. When we train it on those, what it started to learn was whenever it saw a sticker, it assumed there's a damage next to it.
Whether or not there's damage.
Yeah, because it was queuing on something else. So these are fascinating things people don't think, but when you live it to production and when you don't know why you did that, it's scary, right? So everything we do is step by step. You see the demo, you will absolutely see it. We will be able to pinpoint, this is why we called it a damage, this is why it's not. I'm not saying it'll be 100% right, but it will be 100% explainable.
Right.
So that we can coach it, train it very quickly, and have precision tweaks to get it up and running the way you want it.
Makes good sense. Venkat, let's close on this topic here. So, we're here at this conference largely based on innovation. As we think about the roadmap for not just Tractable, but then also too for just AI in general, look into your crystal ball. What are you seeing 18 to 24 months? What do we need to start preparing for?
So I absolutely believe we are really, really, really on very, very early stage. We have been for 10 years and I'm still saying it, right? I see that firsthand there.
Yeah.
We are, as technology providers, we are way ahead of our customers. That's something that I want to be very mindful of, right? So it's a lot of noise in the market, very little actual production stuff happening right now because there's a big lift between wanting to do things and cool things available before it gets into production there. So I think the next 12 to 18 months, I don't think it's not about as much it's about cool technology. It's about, production use of current technologies. Like we need to fix the gaps. Enough of this cool shit. We all can do really good demos. Great. Forget that. Work hard on trying to bridge the gap between what it takes, all the examples we talked about.
The use cases.
We need to work as an industry to make it actually viable. My biggest fear is people lose trust and it becomes a passing fad and then people move past it. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
We saw that happen in blockchain a lot.
Sure,
and then it scares me, right? It's great tech, but without right landing there. So I would rather focus on, that's why we are anchoring a lot more on a lot of cool things we are doing, leave that aside, but we are doing a lot more on getting into production, removing all the guardrails, that people have worried about and, making sure that, it's good, expanding the guardrails so that we can do a lot more there. So it's all about landing it in production and building trust and, confidence in it. Anything else? I think we are great at innovation, but, we are not that good at landing it into the actual use cases. That's what we should do. 12 months from now when we chat here, we should see a lot more production use. We need to see a lot more adoption there.
Right, but probably with similar tech, not a ton of advancement in the tech, really more.
I think we need to get the tech better and ready for it, right? I think new tech will always come, but we need to get the tech into production first before we go. It's the same thing happened in on-premise to cloud. It took 15 years for it to happen.
Yep.
But we are going to start seeing that quite often now.
Makes good sense. Venkat, this was an amazing conversation,
yeah, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in for another episode here of Live at ITC at the Live at ITC set, proudly sponsored by Tint. We hope to see you again on our next episodes here of Live ITC. See you soon.